Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori. If you're new here, I have a sleeping baby next to me, so I apologize if this intro is quiet. But today I wanted to do a follow-up video of the video that I did last week, and I will link that down below, but it's easy to find. It's just my last video. I had so many questions about that video asking where the rest of the list was, and maybe I wasn't clear, but that video was pantry staples that I would keep in the event of an emergency, and that was long-term food storage. And this video is a follow-up to that, an extension of that. So you may hear some repeats in this video, but this is more of my general emergency preparedness plan. So super easy. I did not make a list this time like the last video, but I wanted to just put in some basics of preparedness just in case you're new to this lifestyle. So quick intro, but hi, hello, my name is Tori. I am a wife, mother to 4, and I stay at home. We began our preparedness journey a long time ago, and we've picked up some realistic tips and tricks to make this attainable, easy, and budget friendly. So if you like that kind of thing, definitely hit the subscribe button, drop any items that I may have forgotten in the comments down below, and I will get you right into this list. Thanks for being here. Alrighty, number 1 on my list, of course, is going to be water. I feel like it's the most important thing to have enough water for at least 3 days, have a way to filter it, have a way to carry it in case you need to go out to a body of water and then gather it, have a way to clean it, like I said, so a water filter or some sort of tab to put in there, and find a natural spring near you. It's always linked in my description box, but you can go on a website and find one, and then find a vessel to fill up on. Of course, you can keep water in plastic. That's an easy way to do it, but I have found glass water bottles at my local discount store, and I've been stocking up on that. You can also stock up on different types of larger filtration, so you could find like an IBC tank or something like that. There is a lot of different ways you can go with this. I encourage everyone to look into a water source and go about your day. Take 24 hours and figure out every single time you use water. And on the subject of liquid, and since we have this beautiful shot here on the screen, I did want to mention other liquids that you could keep on hand. Coffee, tea, anything you need to get you through your day. I suggest stocking up on liquor. You don't have to drink it, but there's a lot you can do. You can clean with it. You can also make tinctures for medicinals if you grow anything in your backyard. I've gotten some questions recently on that. What if I don't have space to garden? That's absolutely fine. I get some dried herbs and some fresh plants from Mountain Rose Herbs. I think they're a phenomenal brand. They're organic, non-GMO, and no yucky stuff in some of their dried herbs. Don't have a discount code, just really enjoy them. Next on my list, when it comes to moving from liquids, I'm going to say some food. So you can home can food like this shot right here, or you could buy some canned items. Be leery of things stored in aluminum or steel. I suggest stocking up on, just about everything, just so you can quickly cook items. Of course, dried items are important, and they will be coming up here soon, but think about canned proteins, canned vegetables, even canned fruits. But on the subject of that, you can home can a lot of different items. Do not be afraid of home canning. You are smart enough to do it. Honestly, I was so hesitant until I learned that it's such an amazing process, and it saves you a lot of money and then time in the kitchen. So this doesn't have to come from an emergency standpoint. Think of times where you are going paycheck to paycheck and you don't have enough cash or time to go to the grocery store. Think of times where you just may be busy and you need to get dinner on the table. Next on my list for foods is going to be foods that store indefinitely. So I have rice here on the screen. We're going to have oats, which doesn't store indefinitely, but it stores for quite a bit of time if you store it properly. We will get into that later on in the video. I have some dried beans as well as freeze-dried items. I think it's so important to have something like this on hand, but keep in mind that you may need water to cook these items. You could also grind them down and make flours. There's so many things that you can do with dried goods, and they are easy to store, and I think they are relatively inexpensive depending on where you get yours. For rice and grains, I suggest finding something unenriched. You may not have the gene to process or digest the added folic acid that is added to at least the United States foods when it comes to rice and pastas and things like that. Definitely look into the MTHFR gene mutation and how that could be affecting your digestion when it comes to some of these items like flour, rice, and oats and pastas and things like that. Also on the list is going to be sugar and salt and baking soda, baking powder, like baking items. They can store indefinitely, and you can keep a lot of it on hand at a pretty cheap price, I feel like. And I also am going to put honey on this list and a little bit of yeast. I feel like yeast is important. You, of course, can make bread without yeast, but I like having a nice fluffy bread. And then last but not least for food, I'm just going to mention a few things that are optional. I feel like a lot of people should have salt and pepper. Any type of dried herb would do a lot for your prepper pantry just to keep those foods not bland. Vinegar, white and apple cider. You could put some soy sauce or hot sauce in there. Crackers, granola bars, instant meals, and then of course cooking oil and a fat. So, tallow would be good. Right here I have olive oil or avocado oil. Get those seed oils out of your diet now and get them out of your prepper pantry. I feel like they don't have a place for us, and I feel that a lot of people should look into seed oils and how it may be affecting their self. There's just so much research that's backed up behind this. And then going further on the food subject, find a way to preserve food. So whether that be a freeze dryer, whether that be home canning, you could even use a dehydrator, although that takes out a lot of nutrients here. This is important to have, and it's an important skill to learn. So food preservation, again, I am not, an expert, but I'd like to learn a little bit more about it. So having Mylar bags on hand, having some sort of vacuum sealer on hand will go a long way. And then next on my list is going to be first aid and safety. So any medicines you need. I mentioned them now for the conventional prepper, but pain relievers, allergy medications, any sort of specific medications that you may take. I am pretty against a lot of pharmaceuticals, so natural remedies and things to grow in your garden to help with that. I have so many videos on that. I'm going to go further here and say some antiseptics, iodine, alcohol wipes, anything that you need to clean a wound or clot it. Very important to have. Next on my list is going to be cooking essentials, so a way to cook food, some sort of match, lighter, portable stove, camping stove, cooking utensils like spatulas, knives, can openers are a big one. Comes to cooking food, I am not saying that you need to hone down on one thing. This is one subject here that I stock up on a whole mess of ways to cook food. So find a way to power that stove. If you don't know how to make a fire, figure it out. That's a basic skill to have, and I feel like a lot of people are scared of even that. So again, I'm not an expert. I luckily have my husband, but in the event that I don't, I need to know how to cook food for my family. So important skill to have. Go learn it today. Next on my list, always a hot topic, but basic protection. So I have talked about ways that I like to protect my family, but everybody is going to be different. So figure out a way to protect your family. This doesn't mean just from people. Of course, you need to protect any sort of threat to your family. That is your job and your right. So make sure you get familiar with those self-defense items and keep them on hand in the event of an emergency. And then on this topic, I suggest finding ways to be able to grab some food for yourself if you are stuck out in the wild. So a way to hunt, essentially. I know a lot of us aren't comfortable with that, but again, an important skill to have, and it comes from a different emergency scenario. And then finishing out my list here, I have a small generator. You just need something to power a few things, but find some things that you can do off grid. I'm also going to throw in a flashlight there, a first aid kit, just a small one to have with you, some battery powered or hand crank radios. Look into different radios that you can use to communicate with others that are pretty like-minded. I will link some in my Amazon store. Some sort of whistle to call for help, a multi-tool like a Swiss Army knife, duct tape, some personal hygiene items. I have some copies of important documents and a way to store that in a safe way, extra clothing, some blankets or sleeping bags, and cash just in case. Also, emergency contact information and a plan for yourself and your family. And then I always like to finish off my list here with being physically and mentally prepared. So get your mental health in check. And guess what? You can do that pretty easily by getting getting your physical health in check. So make sure you are moving your body every single day. It is so important. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this, but in the event of an emergency, it is so important to be able to move with a sound mind with yourself and your family. Alrighty, my friends, that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around. Again, I know that list was an extension to the previous video, but if you are new here, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you on the next one. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative, and I will see you sometime this week for a brand new video.